A 6-year-old boy died following an incredibly rare second battle with Kawasaki disease. An NHS trust will overhaul its paediatric care after the boy tragically died of septic shock. Leon Singh was taken to hospital the first time he fell ill 2 years ago, after suffering from fever-like symptoms for 10 days and developing a horrific rash. Mum Samantha Singh and Dad Darshaw insisted it appeared to be a reoccurrence of the same infection he had beaten just 6 months beforehand. But they claim their concerns weren't listened to by medical professionals. Little Leon was transferred to the critical care centre at the Evelina Hospital in London 2 days later as his condition rapidly deteriorated. Despite initially appearing to respond well to treatment, his shocked parents were told their son's brain had swollen and crushed itself. Kawasaki disease has been more recently linked to coronavirus in children during the pandemic. However, the extremely rare inflammatory condition, which can prove deadly for some children, predates the COVID-19 crisis. Dartford and Gravesham NHS Trust admitted it had failed Leon, who died last year. A 4-day inquest last week examining the care Leon received found there were missed opportunities to diagnose septic shock and for effective clinical management and treatment to be carried out. The Trust said the overall standard of care was not of an acceptable standard in a letter to his parents. Leon's mum said the unbearable pain has got worse, and she still sees her darling dancing down the supermarket aisles. Mrs Singh added, "We have had no answers about what happened. We don't understand how this could have happened." The coroner's court last week heard sepsis charts were not completed, which would have helped identify symptoms, and clinicians communicated poorly between each other. Coroner Alan Blunsdon recorded a narrative verdict at County Hall in Maidstone, Kent, on Friday. The inquest heard Leon spent 16 days in Darent Valley Hospital in Dartford, Kent, being treated for Kawasaki disease in November 2018. He made a good recovery, but became ill again on April the 21st the following year after his mum spotted a bad red rash on his belly after an Easter egg hunt. Leon was taken to the same hospital on May the 1st, 2019, as he appeared lethargic and weak, was shivering, had shiny purple lips and a spotty rash. The following day, Leon's feet, hands and areas around his eyes were swollen, and he kept saying he was thirsty, after suffering from diarrhoea every 15 minutes and struggling to pass urine. He looked completely out of it at 10 p.m. and Mr Singh called his wife to say Leon's condition had taken a turn for the worse after his blood pressure plummeted. The child had gone into septic shock, but this was the first time sepsis had been mentioned, according to Mrs Singh. Leon was transferred to the Children's Critical Care Unit at the Evelina during the early hours of May 3. Mrs Singh said, "As he was taken to theatre, he was reaching his arm out to me and saying, 'Mummy, help.'" Later that day, the family were told Leon was doing very well after his blood pressure stabilized and might even be taken off his respirator, which Mrs Singh described as being like a weight had been lifted. But at 9 p.m. they were told Leon's eyes were not responding to light tests, which was a sign of brain damage. A CT scan showed his brain had swollen and tragically crushed itself. Judith Duffin, representing the Dartford and Gravesham NHS Trust, said doctors initially presumed he was suffering from a superimposed bacterial infection and informed the parents they didn't think Leon had a re-occurrence of Kawasaki disease. She added, he was being treated for potential sepsis, but there was a possibility for a re-occurrence of Kawasaki, though this is not common. Around 8 in every 100,000 children develop Kawasaki disease in the UK every year according to the NHS, with 72% of those affected under the age of 5. Symptoms alongside a high temperature lasting more than 5 days include a rash, swollen glands in the neck, dry and cracked lips, red fingers or toes and red eyes. It is unclear what causes the unpreventable condition, but children can make a full recovery within 6 to 8 weeks, if diagnosed and treated promptly in hospital. Around a quarter experience heart complications from swollen blood vessels, and if untreated, it can be fatal in between 2 and 3% of cases. Mrs Singh said, "Nothing will ever replace what we lost when Leon died. He was the glue that brought our family together, and to hear throughout the inquest that they were missed opportunities to recognize and treat his sepsis is beyond heartbreaking. It is unimaginable that this pain will ever go away." Mrs Singh also described Leon as the most beautiful and amazing little boy whose smile would light up any room on a fundraising page which earned more than £1,100 for the UK Sepsis Trust. She added, "He brought me so much happiness and love in the little time we had, and to lose him to sepsis has devastated our life." Solicitor Rebecca Brunton, of law firm Simpson Miller, representing the family, said, "The family have been devastated by the loss of Leon. While they thank the coroner for his time, the inquest has understandably been a very difficult time for them, especially with so much evidence to suggest that they were missed opportunities to diagnose him and provide swift, effective treatment. They are now desperate for reassurances that lessons learnt have been acted upon by the Trust to ensure no one suffers as they have in the future." Close quote. The Dartford and Gravesham NHS Trust has since apologised and told Leon's parents it was determined to implement an action plan which will see all paediatric staff undergo a permanent teaching programme. Coronavirus-related illness, a Trust spokesman said, "We offer our sincere condolences and sympathies to the family for the tragic loss of their son Leon and the suffering that this has caused. We have shared all of our findings with the family and have apologised to them that Leon's care fell below the standard that they were entitled to expect. We have now put a full range of actions in place. We have embarked upon a full review of paediatric care at Darent Valley Hospital, commissioned an invited college review, and established a children's board. We have already started sharing the findings of the review and the resulting actions with the Care Quality Commission, CQC." Close quote.